Hello, everybody, and welcome to Why Are You an Entrepreneur? The Trials and Triumphs. I'm Maureen Edwards. I'm the founder of 8 Simple Steps, and I created this series to bring you rock star entrepreneurs who are moving, shaking, making things happen, and they're ready to share some really great best practices, resources, words of wisdom, and inspiration that you are not alone on your journey. So let's take 30 minutes and meet our first rock star for the evening. And remember, we're a once a month format now, no more 4 times a week. So you got to know they're special if they're just once a month. And this is no exception. I've got Mesha Mebane. She is the CEO and founder of Infrared Vision. She's also a very close personal friend of mine and my client. It is amazing. You can balance both. Misha, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Maureen. You're right. It is amazing. It's not very many people in this world where you can balance both, but we happen to do that, like Ebony and Ivory. So, hey, everybody, nice to see you this evening, and I'm just really glad to be here, and just really want to be very authentic and have an authentic conversation about why I am an entrepreneur. You take it, Maureen. What you want to know about me?
Well, I already know why you're an entrepreneur. Okay, I get
Uh,
all the ins and outs, and watching your journey for 5 years together has been a true
wow.
privilege, right?
Wow.
But I want you to share what brought you to the path of really taking a real risk and becoming a business owner.
Well, I want to change the narrative from some of our previous interviews that were good because I got reminded the other day. I always say, oh, I became an entrepreneur when I filed for the LLC for Infrared Vision back in 2018 of July. But actually, I have been an entrepreneur quasi. Walk out the back door, say hasta la vista to the day job since March of 2015. So I have to really regard that time. What had happened was is that I have always had my own infrared vision in terms of what it is I wanted to accomplish. And there's a certain point in your career, I've had a couple terrible lengthy layoffs in my past. I actually moved to Maryland after a transition in my life where I lost my daughter in 1996 and after a divorce. So I was looking for a new city to move to, and I landed in the DMV area back in 2000. And so I'd always been in sales. So I wasn't fearful of that. But what I was fearful of was actually I met other entrepreneurs, but I was saying, how could I become an entrepreneur? You know what I mean? But there's something about the disappointment and the failure that you feel behind, at least for me, of a couple layoffs where
Yeah.
you are actually building your moxie in terms of, oh my gosh, I started to see things a little bit differently because I had a sales career
Hey, so you kind of froze on us. Misha, are you
for
still
so long.
there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you kind of just froze up for a minute, but you were sharing about these layoffs. All right, get back off mute. Get off mute.
Sorry about that. You know how technical things happen. All
It
right.
is, and I always say it's okay if it's messy because life is messy and entrepreneurship is messy, and we
Yeah,
just
we
roll
can't,
it around here.
forget perfection. I think we talked about that before in previous interviews. But anyway, you build moxie through layoffs. With layoffs, there's disappointment, there's fear. In most of the last two layoffs that I had, I wasn't financially prepared for them. Actually, nobody really is sometimes. And so what I felt during those
We lost you again.
processes of looking for I need from this. Can you hear me still?
In and out.
Can you hear me?
Maybe your internet.
Okay. So I'm just trying to convey, what do you learn from that? And you learn from the disappointment and the failure of the layoff. And so for me, I kind of put myself into a master class like, well, what would it be like to become an entrepreneur? So I started looking at my resume. And Maureen, to be honest with you, I started seeing a pattern where I could say, oh, I'm in sales. I'm not, even though I felt like a liability, I really flipped that mindset and I said, you know what? I am not a liability. I am an asset.
Yeah.
I'm an asset because I'm the one that gets hired to sell whatever it is that was all on my resume, back to back to back, on different with different jobs. So once I identified that I'm an asset and not a liability, my whole mindset flipped from fixed to growth and was like, you know what? I think I want to try entrepreneurship, but I want to emphasize to the audience that you cannot do it without a plan. So basically, on one of my jobs that I got hired at, I was at half of my original income, but he basically had it where you had to have vision boards on your desk. So I started putting a vision board together in front of me. It was actually uh, mandatory. And while everybody else was putting big dreams on there, I was putting my life on there actually as it was. I put my what do you call it? Unemployment card on there. I put things that I wanted to pay off. All these things that were scrambled in my head, I actually put them on the vision board. I put on there that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So, with full transparency, I was working a day job, but I was also a 1099 contractor for a pharmaceutical company. So basically, in that time frame of me working for them, I used to come home after my day job and put out proposals on the West Coast after 5 o'clock because you still have a 3 hour time frame. So I used to come home from the day job, 8 hours, and then put out proposals in the evening on the West Coast. And I did that for a solid 5 years. And you know what? You cannot experience a harvest unless you plant seeds. And my harvest came in 4 years after I started that plan. You have to be patient though, but it came in and I was able to quit my day job in 2015 to come home and become a full time entrepreneur.
I love, there's so much to unpack with what you just said. And one of the biggest things is when you experience those layoffs, it is devastating.
Mhm.
And you have to be resilient. You have to be adaptable. The fear and the anxiety, those are all things that you literally do feel in entrepreneurship. So I do feel like that was preparing you, as well as you going, no more, no more of these people going to control me. I am going to flip that script and figure out what is my talent. What is it that I have that I can make into my destiny? And so I think people are experiencing, if they're having a difficult time getting back into the workforce or experiencing ageism or have gone through those layoffs, that's actually good prep for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I would highly recommend anyone listening is that you look at your resume and you actually tell yourself that you are an asset and not a liability. Because when I felt like I was a liability, I would cry. I would be like, "Oh, where's my next job coming from? Who am I going to work for? Are they going to pay me what I'm worth?" And da 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 da. But once I flipped from that fixed mindset thought process to a growth mindset and calling myself an asset, I saw myself differently and I looked at myself differently. I looked at my skills differently. And I said, you know what? At this point, I was in my mid 40s. And I'm like, at this point, you have built up enough skills to actually go out and do something for yourself. Now, not everybody's cut out to be an entrepreneur, but I believe that if you have belief in yourself and you've done a lot of self evaluation, but you have to understand when I was on the day job, putting out those proposals as a 1099 contractor on the sideline, because I do want to mention that is a sideline, building it up to replace my day job income. I was
Yep.
also doing study group. So I would bring that vision board concept home and I did like a study group of 40 plus women and men here at here in home office, and we would actually put together our visions of what it is. It was amazing because I met this 55-year-old woman who never did a vision or wrote down her vision, and it got me to thinking there are tons of people in this world who do not think of a vision as it's something ahead of your plan. Okay, so it's a vision that is cultivated of what it is that you really want to do or want to become, but the plan comes after that. But what becomes before that, and I'll blow people's minds today, is a mindset behind that. And I think people today, or have over the years, discounted the power of your mindset, because your mindset actually comes before the vision, and then you get a vision together of yourself, and then you move to a plan, and then you move to implementation, and that's exactly what I did.
And they say, I mean, there's a Harvard review out there, this huge study that says if you write something down or you visually see your goals and plans, not just in your head, you are 5 times more likely to achieve those goals or those dreams, those aspirations. So that's very powerful. And this is not writing them digitally on your phone or just thinking of them in head. That's like physically putting it on. And that's what you're talking about with that vision board. And it leads me to your company focuses so much on mindset. That's what infrared is. But you also put together a vision print for them. Can you explain what this vision print is for people?
Right. So you need to have an opportunity, like I did, to sit down and actually brainstorm your way through your thoughts, your feelings, and what it is you actually want to do. Not a lot of people casually talk, like you and I will have casual conversation on the friendship side of our relationship, and you can kind of pick up on what people say. But do you actually spend time to sit down and focus on what it is you actually want to do? You adopted one of my favorite questions. What is your next?
Mhm.
Infrared vision focuses on things after adversity. When you get beyond the age of 40, and we're talking about by this time, which I've experienced all of them, loss of children, either through loss like I have, or through empty nest syndrome, or adversities such as ageism, job loss, and things of that nature. You need to figure out what your next is. And what we do at Infrared Vision is we help you create this vision print to understand what is your next. Let's sit down. Let's come together and collaborate and figure that out. You can't just do it by walking by, down the retail sidewalk or whatever on Rodeo Drive or something like that. You actually need to sit down and be laser focused on putting something together so you know what your next steps are. And I have actually done that for myself since 2010. I'm very adamant about it every year. In fact, you said I've influenced you in some kind of ways, and being laser focused on what your next is. And it's a good question that needs to be answered. And it also needs to be answered, and with one of our other signature questions is, are you living or just existing? So we take you through that process as well to help you redefine, rebuild, and restore.
And I love that tagline. And you and I worked on that when we got together the first time building your brand. And so I want to ask you, what has been the most surprising thing about entrepreneurship for you, about building this company?
What's been the most surprising thing to me with true authenticity is me. Actually staying fired up. One thing people don't realize is that when you are an entrepreneur, it's your ideas, it's your vision, it's your company, and there, unless I can honestly say after 5 years, whether it be you, I'm glad it's you, but whether it be you or somebody else, I would have still chose to be connected at the hip with a coach. Investing yourself is a primary key to solo entrepreneurship when you get started, to be connected to someone that can help you walk you through A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But for me, what has been my surprise is that I've looked over the last 5 years and I can say because my why was free time, okay? I wanted to control my own time, my own schedule, my own destiny. I wanted to be able to work from anywhere in the world. Haven't really done much of that lately due to some circumstances that I got going on behind the scenes, but I'm getting there. And so, but I will say it is some days just like anybody else, going to a day job. I'm not as fired up. It doesn't mean I don't love my business. It's just I'm not as fired up some days as I am others, or some years as I am others. And I have to kick myself in my own butt to recalibrate my own mindset and get back into the game. So I just wanted to be totally authentic because I don't think there's any human being on earth, whether you report to a job or whether you're an entrepreneur, that doesn't have those days.
Well, I think it ebbs and flows, right? And the fact that you recognize it, I think that's what is important that you're saying is that if you just don't feel like doing it that day, or you feel like you've hit a wall, or you're frustrated, something hasn't worked out, take a step back because you're just going to spin your wheels, hit your head up against the wall, and the only one getting a headache is you. So I think that's very good advice. And I appreciate you being real. And I have to say, for everybody out in the audience, the one thing about entrepreneurship is people want authenticity. They want to know who they're working with. And Mesha, you're one of the most authentic people I've ever met. You don't work in theory. It's not about theory. It's not book learned. It's not, I took a million certifications and classes. It is raw, pure experience. And there is just nothing that can replace the person who has gone through it and walked the walk and walked the journey.
Mhm.
That's most important for people to align themselves with.
Right. I think I think it's kind of an insult, especially over the age of 40, when you start asking people for what is your qualifications and things of that nature. I think, be honest with you, I like qualifications, I like certifications and things of that nature, but I believe in this time that we're in 2024, you need to understand that you need to work with a person that is actually been through the things like you. You have been through the ups and downs of small businesses. You have shared with me about how you weren't able to trademark, or you trademarked and you made mistakes, or whatever the case may
Mhm.
be. I'd rather work with a person that's been through some of the same things that I have versus looking for someone with some quasi certification. And so I tell anybody, I am the true epitome of my brand. So there is no separation between my brand and me. I am my brand. My brand is me. And I'm totally relatable through the things that I've been through. And I will say, as you age, you cannot get away without having a vision. You got to have a vision for yourself as you're moving towards retirement, in retirement, and even after that. Don't ever stop having infrared vision. And I know I'm not. I will say one of my biggest successes for me personally, behind the scenes, I'll let you guys in, is that I have changed my mindset about a lot of things that are relational, in terms of how I move, how I shake, how I spend money, how I am not how I'm getting 100% out of debt, this year. I'm no longer going to deal with bad debt past 2024 at the age of 57.5, going on 58 in July. There's a whole lot of changing and things that are in motion behind the scenes that I want to bring to my audience and say, hey, there's single women out there, there's married couples out there, there's all kinds of people out there that do need mindset shifts and change. And until you're able to complete those, you're not going to be able to get to from point A to point B, because mindset, even though people write it, it's in writing, it's in post or whatever, and people say it out loud. They go, "Oh, mindset is everything," but they don't actually believe it. Because I can tell you, if you actually believe that mindset is everything, you should be able to say what your results are from that after you do your mindset shifts and change.
From your perspective, you've been an entrepreneur for a very long time, but in this particular business, it's been 5 years. So, can you share with people how you have um, gone through the process of reaching people with your brand? Are there some marketing strategies you have used? Because there are a lot of coaches out there, coaches in multiple different industries, not just even in mindset, but just in general. What type of marketing have you been successful with to reach your audience?
I am not so I'm totally opposite in my mindset when it comes to numbers of likes and followers and things of that nature. If you follow Infrared Vision on LinkedIn, which that's the only platform we're on, that's the only one I want to manage, to be honest with you. I'm just selfish that way. I don't want to be on multiple platforms, especially the ones that my brand does not belong on. But if you
Absolutely. That's
if
key. All right.
exactly.
That's key.
She taught me that. But what is key for me is that if you go look at my brand for the last 5 years and you'll say, "Oh, she doesn't have many likes or followers or things of that nature," I'm not worried about that. I don't want to insult anybody, but I believe that's a false sense of recognition.
Okay, you bumped out again. Are you coming
To be
back,
honest
Misha?
with you, my regular follower. Yeah, we both just blinked out. I saw that. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So hey, we're just gonna let it roll. Hey. But yeah, so I like to get up close and personal to my regular followers. I actually connect with people. I try to learn things about them, because the old school in terms of having relationships with your followers, there are people right now. I've got about 10 or 20 people that follow me on LinkedIn, have never purchased from me, but they're on Infrared's phone line where they can just reach up and call me. I like to build on that. I still believe that old school in terms of building relationships, get to know people, especially through, I pay attention to some of my followers and what they're going through, what they're posting. I can actually regurgitate back to the things that they've said, or if they're going through something, or if they've had a loss, I'll check in on them. I just like being personable. So if that takes a little bit longer than what you say, these large likes and followers, so be it then. I'd rather treat you like a person than a number.
Love this advice. And for everybody out there, take notes on this, because what you just said, I mean, I asked you for this broad question of all the marketing you're doing out there. And what you just said is basically, I'm not doing a lot of marketing out there. What I'm doing is very specialized, very niche, and it's about building relationships. And who cares about the vanity metrics, right? Who cares, that you have 300 people and not 3,000? Those 300 people are valuable people who you're connected with.
They're
And I think people
people.
miss that,
They're
right?
people. They're not numbers. And, I'm
Yeah.
still going to continue to convey that. I mean, wouldn't you rather work with someone, Marine, that knows, can regurgitate something you said a year ago, where I can come to you and say, how's mom? How are you feeling after X? I know a lot about you. So you rather have someone to truly come to you and say, "How are you doing? How are you doing after this? What's going on after that particular situation? How are you doing as a person?" That's my approach. And anyone listening, I hope I'm getting some likes about this, because there's certain people in that follow me know. And then I also do contests. I you know engage people into my content and things of that nature to bring them closer to me. It's just really about, I want to stick to the humanity side. I don't want to stick to these false metrics in terms of, oh, she's got 10,000 followers. She must be successful. No, there are some people that have 10,000 plus followers are not very successful, and there's some people that have 4 or 5,000 followers like me, that are over six figures or more every single year. So don't judge that by those metrics. You really don't know what's going on behind the curtain.
I totally agree. So,
Hmm.
we only have a few minutes left, and I want to give you the time to tell everybody out there who your right fit audience is. Who do you serve, Mesha, and who should reach out to you?
Well, I serve the 40 plus community, and I serve a person who is interested in mindset shifts and change. Okay. Change can be very scary to some, but I would also speak to the fact that when you're over 40, you should be over being scared about change. But if you really want to go to another level in your mindset, it's going to take your mindset first to change. Okay. And then once we open up those highways, you can go wherever you need to go and implement what you need to implement after you do those mindset shifts and change. So that's what I'm really wanted to focus on. We want to focus on your vision. We want to focus on some things around your mindset, around your money as well. We have workshops that are being refreshed right now. And we really just are interested in helping people be laser focused on what their next is as they're transitioning through their aging years and especially moving towards retirement.
Awesome. I love it. So tell everybody out there how they can get a hold of you.
Okay. You can email me. I haven't offered this before, but you can email me at info@infraredvision.org. And you can also go to the website at www.infraredvision. And you can actually go ahead and hit our contact page and set up an appointment to reach out to me. And I'm definitely one to engage with you. And let me point this out. Don't be afraid to set an appointment with me. I am not going to sell you. You know before you come to my schedule whether or not you need to be sold, and you need to sell yourself, but I'm not going to sell you. You know what you need. So let's go ahead and work it out.
I think that's great advice. But I did want to make one correction, not a correction, but it's infraredvision.org. I wanted to put the .org in
Thank
there
you.
for everybody because I
Thank
saw that
you.
that wasn't going through. I don't want anybody to not be able to find you. Of
Thank
course,
you.
everybody can find the Infrared Vision business page on LinkedIn as well as Mesha. So definitely connect with her. Mesha, you are one of the wisest people out there. You've
You
given
say
some
that all the time.
you are. You've given some really great rock star best practices here. And it isn't even just sometimes a best practice, but some mindset shifts to think about the way you think about marketing, the way you think about building relationships, the way you think about building a vision, a plan.
Well,
And
that's
so
only
that's quite
because
different.
yeah, that's only because we live in such a world today where people are not very trusting of people. So, I just really want the authenticity to be the forefront of my brand.
Love it. And you've achieved that. Well, everybody, we are just about ready to wrap up. Mesha, thank you again for being here. I will say, Mesha is so special in my life that she has actually graced us at Why Are You an Entrepreneur 3 years in a row now. All
Right.
right. So I have watched her journey, and I really hope that you picked up some words of wisdom today because I actually even picked up a few things, and I know Mesha pretty well. So, for those of you on the entrepreneurial journey and you would like to be a guest, I have 4 spots left for the 2024 calendar. So, please reach out to me at 8simplesteps.net. You can also find me on LinkedIn. We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we got it all going on. And if you're somebody right now who is just starting a business and you want a very specific roadmap of how to start it in the right way to give you the ability to start launching and getting customers, I'm the person who wants to have a conversation with you. And if you're somebody who's been in business and you're doing a lot of marketing and you have a strong digital online presence and you're still not acquiring your right fit customer and making the money you should be, let's have a conversation too. And again, I'm not here to sell you, like Mesha said. You know
What
what
you
you
need.
need, and it's up to you if you want to make a change, because we both talk about how we're not running after you. We don't chase anybody. If you
Nope.
want to change, you have to implement it. And that means you're serious. So, all right. So, everybody, good night. And we will see you next month with another rock star. All right, everybody. Take care.